season efficiency-wise. She was very important to the Gophers, no doubt about it, but sort of, I think she shot 34%.
Right.
That's tough. And that's going to be, that's probably the reason why we were able to get her, at 30. And if she's able to change that and she can combine that with her elite level of athleticism, you have a pretty good player. But that's the reason why, a player will be available in the third round. Kind of a cool, Lindsay had no idea we were going to draft her. And I didn't want that pick sort of assigned before we got there, because we just had so many things moving, including, the trade that involved, the 18th pick. We were still doing some other things in that third round. We were looking at, possible, scenarios, and we just wanted to make sure, that we were open. And once we got to that point, the top of the third round, and we started seeing who was going and who was left on our board, and just sort of our need to continue to collect more guards. I looked at those guys and I said Kenesha Bell, and they all agreed, and so I was able to give Lindsay a heads up. I didn't know that she was spending time over with Kenesha and her family watching the draft.
Oh wow!
And so I gave her a heads up, and I asked her not to tell Kenesha, just in case something changed. I didn't want that to happen, and then obviously we were able to pick her, and I think there was a level of celebration. I think that was really fun for Kenesha and for Lindsay. So again, it was not a favor. It was something that made sense for us at that point. Does it feel good, that it's a Lindsay Whalen player and that there's a partnership with the program, or with the franchise and their program? Yeah, for sure. But we also think that it benefits us.
Yeah. Let's talk about your trade, and let you take us inside the war room, if you will. Do want to thank Shelly Bean, the Sports Queen book series aimed at children 4 through 9. It's about a tough little girl named Shelly Bean, the Sports Queen, who loves to learn new sports. The sports aren't easy for her, but she keeps getting back up. She demonstrates perseverance to girls and boys of all ages. At the end of each story, she reflects on her day and what she's accomplished and rewards herself by making a new sports charm for her crown. To purchase copies, go to ShellyBeanTheSportsQueen.com and enter the code LynxCoachReeve. LynxCoachReeve at ShellyBeanTheSportsQueen.com. Save 15% off the cover price. Check out the new 5-pack, the Shelly Bean poster, become a member of the fan club, and much more. And the book reviewer, Rebecca Flansburgh, said she loved the representation of diversity in the picture book that appealed to both boys and girls. Friends like Parisa, who swims in her hijab swimsuit, and Mason, who uses a wheelchair on dry land but can swim like a fish in the water. And, of course, Shelly. And, that was one of the cool things about the first live show we did at Poorhouse. We had a massive number of people there. We didn't have Shelly Boyan-Breen there, who loves to come to the shows. We didn't have Glory Ramsey there. We didn't have a couple of other regulars who texted and said, I just can't make it this night. So I think we're going to have a lot more familiar faces than even the first time when we come out. So thanks to Shelly. Check out ShellyBeanTheSportsQueen.com. All right, so take us through the trade, and did it come about? Was it something? I mean, I guess I'll just leave it open. Take us through the trade.
Yeah. So, typically on draft day, it's a culmination of all the conversations you've had in the off season. And so, of course, there were conversations with a few teams that we felt like could possibly have some moving parts that we might want to be a part of. And so we had talked to Connecticut earlier in the off season. But it seemed, as though, it would be difficult to get a trade done. And so it was sort of dormant, with regard to our ability to acquire Lexi Brown. We thought it would be important for us. If you look at some of the holes that we have, I'd like the ability for her to be able to shoot it, and she also defends at a high level. So it was attractive to us. And so there were no conversations with Connecticut around our second-round picks. We did have an offer involving our first pick, but we were pretty set on staying where we were. And so that was the only conversation we had was regarding our number 6 pick. And so we moved into late first round, early second. It was believed when I first heard from Kurt in Connecticut. And, we had number 16, number 18, and number 20. And at that particular time, after the 14th pick went, we heard from Kurt he was interested in our 16th pick. But this is how it goes on draft day. All of a sudden, all you picks have, you squeeze really tight onto them because you're going down a path. And we had spent hours upon hours, in planning for this and what we wanted to do at 16, who are our tops. And so when you think your top is going to be there, it's hard to move off of. And again, we just have a few holes that we felt like it was really important. And as everyone knows, Jess Shepard was somebody that I felt like at 16, we would be ecstatic to have a chance to get. And so that's what I told Kurt. We can't move 16. He wanted to see what happened. I told him who we were picking at 16. I did not know what was going to happen at 17. And so we sort of, we hung up. We selected Jess Shepard. And then we got back on the line, and we waited to see what happened at 17. And when the player that he wanted was still there, we moved 18 for him to get Lexi Brown. So that was kind of on the fly. But there was so much conversation around it leading into it that it's a very quick decision. There was, it was sort of a no-brainer on our part. The 18th pick for Lexi Brown, who could be a good player. She sort of, I think kind of got lost in the shuffle in Connecticut. Connecticut's a good team. They don't have a lot of spots. There's not a lot of minutes there. And so I think Lexi was interested in being somewhere where there'd be more minutes, and I think we're the perfect team. And
sometimes I do this. Had one question I asked, and I had two other questions jump in there. I'm really stumbling over this. I guess as the general manager and the coach and somebody who's had this much success, how much is it you just saying, okay, I have all the information, I'm just going to make the decision? How much is it still a cumulative process with everybody in the room?
Well, it's absolutely, I think a collaboration is the only way to do it. And I am a believer in preparation. So Kyle Radke, who, wrote the story about being in the draft room for 3 days together. We had met even before that, but he kind of joined Monday and Tuesday and then Wednesday. And I think the thing that he would tell you that I was pretty clear on is, whatever ideas you have, whatever you think, this needs to be brought to the table now. On Wednesday, we're not talking about anything new. If a team brought something new for us to discuss, that's a different story. But we needed to make sure that when we left on Tuesday night, that we walked in and our draft board was exactly, in terms of our top 20, in terms of prospect by position. I wanted all those things to be where we wanted it. Don't come in on Wednesday and have a different idea. So I don't like to fly by the seat of our pants. And so there's a big-time collaboration. Everyone gets an opportunity to share what they've seen, and we collaborate on the order. You don't always get the majority. So when you stumble in terms of where a player should be and you've kind of, you start to split hairs, at that point, you just have to make a decision and move on. And you also have to figure out, is it a debate worth having? Is that player going to be there? We did have we got some information on Tuesday night that led to, pretty strong debate about, possibilities at 6. That would have been a difficult choice if the scenario played out that we thought might. But I think overall, I think you're best when you operate in collaboration. There's no way I want to make a pick that everybody else in the room didn't want. And I think we're all, I've been pretty darn experienced at this. We get to the bottom of whatever the issues are, and typically we all come out of the room, feeling pretty good.
Next show, let's talk a little bit about Brianna Stewart, the state of the league, state of your team, and maybe you'll be ready to tell us what you were offered for that first round pick.